Love him. I really do not like this. So I'm trying something different and it's lovely. So I'm really happy with him now. Actually, I'm so glad I did that to the background. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chris, if you've not been before, and today we are going to paint a giraffe. I love a giraffe, if I'm honest. It is a favourite animal. And this one I actually took myself, oh, he's having a flick around, at a zoo in Cumbria. And he's a lovely, lovely giraffe, and he was going to bend down and pinch my camera, I thought. So it's a funny angle, but it's an amazing angle. And I have painted him before, and I called him George, and this time I've got to call him something different, but I have no idea what yet. We're going to start with this lovely giraffe. I've got a very, very basic outline to start today. I've got my nice colour chart out, because we're kind of looking at the blues that I wanted for the sky, and whether to do that with white or not. But, you know, I just don't like the whites on there. So we're going in with just watering it down. I could really go over the lines, but it just means me whitening them out again. So how are you all this week? There's been lots of books around, so hopefully you're doing okay and keeping as healthy as you can. And of course it all depends when you watch the video. The giraffe is so flipping tall, isn't it? Apparently they can grow to about 18 foot tall, so it's like almost like two people, isn't it? It's standing on the head, two adults, well, average adults of about 9 foot. Well, is that, no, that's not even an average adult, is it? Where was I even getting that logic from? If you might, yeah. It's nearly 3 of you. In all my years of painting, I've only come across one person who actually was scared of giraffes, and that was really strange, because most people absolutely love giraffes. So do you like giraffes? I'm actually picking a little bit of paint up as I go along, so I'm not dragging a line into it. So I went and dried that piece of paper, and I have to say this is a brand new pad, and it's very wrinkled, and I'm not sure if that's because I didn't wet the middle, I didn't go all the way across. I'm hoping this paper might just then, because I've wet the whole thing, start behaving, because I'm not very happy with it right now. It's not a different brand to what I've used before, so that's a bit annoying. I've just made a giraffe colour just to wet the centre, and then I'm going to go and dry it again and see where we stand. So I've dried the paper now, and it's still a little bit wrinkly. Let's get some of that giraffe properly worked out, and then we can see where we're going with this. That's a bit watery. I normally like a light coat or a glaze coat, but I just want to really get those outlines in. It doesn't matter if we go in a little bit dark, because we can go light to dark quite easily. So this giraffe I actually took at South Lake Zoo. My husband and I went to South Lake Zoo. It was a lockdown year, and we went for our wedding anniversary. And sadly that was the last wedding anniversary. For that reason I very, very nearly didn't continue with this one, because I just thought far too sensitive right now. Anyway, I got that out of my system earlier on and decided to pursue the piece of artwork. So do you have certain things that trigger memories, you know, animals, places? It all gets quite difficult, doesn't it, sometimes? Going to different areas or seeing different things, or memories flashing back. But yeah, that's what happened this morning. But sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and say, tell yourself you can do it, which is where I was this morning doing that. And then the paper's been a bit weird. I'm just trying to get that lip shaping in. He's got a most gorgeous big lip, hasn't he? So when I took the photo of this one, it was only a young one, and I thought he was going to dip down and get my camera, and I was quite like, I pulled back slightly, and I always think, I wonder if I hadn't pulled back, what that shot would have been like. I think sometimes they're just nosy, because they do get fed there. Need a little bit of white along there as well. Just underneath of this bottom lip is quite a bit darker, but it being the shadow. For someone who didn't want a dark background as well, it is darker than I wanted, but I can play around with that in a while. Going back to this tallness of the giraffe. In the symbolism, it says that there's a connection to the higher realms. It's a bridge between the earthly and the divine because of the tallness of the giraffe. I just think that's just so lovely, isn't it? That that's how it's portrayed in different cultures, different people's perception of the symbolism of a giraffe. So yeah, the symbolism, they represent the connection to the high wisdom, encouraging us to seek guidance from the universe, from God, our higher selves, whichever one you believe in. I know we all have a different perspective of things like that, but this is just navigating you to sometimes call upon those outside influences and say, guide us and please help us in circumstances that we're confused, we're lost. Because I think sometimes we are when we lose our partners. There are times in the day or our life where we totally feel lost. So yeah, call on them. Be like the giraffe. Be the bridge between. That's what the giraffe is. I like that actually. I think I'm going to have the giraffe as my soul animal. I don't really collect whether that's how it works. So the markings on the giraffe are all individual to the giraffe. There is this is like their fingerprint, the markings. So I've not drawn them in. I'm just making them as I go along because in a way I need them slightly different to my other painting of George. So I'm just mixing nice giraffe colour. Oh, that's she says she's mixing nice giraffe colours and goes into red, but that's fine. We can work it out. I need to put some eyes on him, don't I? Because right now he's looking a little bit lost. They've got such amazing big eyes, and because the giraffe is hunted, the eyes are on the side of the face. I don't know whether you realise that. There is a difference between the hunted and the predator as to where their eyes are placed. So if it's a hunted animal, they're on the side because they've got better vision to see if anything's chasing them or behind them. So yeah, the giraffe, along with its height, amazing height, so it can see for, I'm sure, for quite a way. I'm going to outline a little bit of that with the dark as well, because, and then I'm going to go in with some white in the middle and just knock it back to white to be able to get the texture onto it. A bit of something in that. There we go. If you get some bits into your art, into your paint, just lift them before it dries. It's so much easier. Otherwise, it's hard to get them out. I'm kind of glazing this on now because it's not pure white. So we'll let a little bit of that colour show through and just make it stronger as we need. So the top of that eyebrow there is also white. Well, that's wet. I'm just going to just blend a little bit of the darker colour in there. I'm mixing a couple of colours in. But just blend it away. It's almost like drawing it back in, actually, to be honest, right now, with the different colours. I was thinking, oh, this one won't take too long, but you know, you forget there's so much more detail in than you imagine. So when you're painting this one, if you are painting this one, you have to remember there's so many different angles here going in on this lip. You've kind of got this bit's going curved, and then that bit is going up that way as well, the bridge of the nose. So there's lots of different angles, and as long as you paint in those angles, you will get that 3D effect. And the same with the bottom lip, it's kind of going down and out. There's quite some little lines under his throat there. Feeling that area there, I've just got that line wrong, so I'm just going to white it out because that nose shaping should have come in and gone there. So I always used to wonder why you've got this hump. What was that hump called if this was a horn? And it turns out they're all horns. Eventually, after painting several drafts and always making the same comment as I got to this point, I actually don't like that colour. I looked it up to find out because it was getting the better of me. But yeah, it's horns, and this is a horn as well. All to do with protection, isn't it? And fighting and warding off predators if necessary. They can give you a quiet whack with the head, apparently. I don't think I'd like to know that. It's a long neck to come to get some swing on, isn't it? I'm not entirely happy with this area. I'll just let it dry and then we'll continue and it'll work, I'm sure. I think there's an element where I went in a bit too pink, just getting that first, getting rid of that problem with the wonky paper. I'm still not 100% sure it's perfectly good. I'm just going to just keep persevering with it there. I'm going in quite glazy all the time rather than solid colour because I just think we need to just keep building those colours up. Okay, so this nose, let's think about this. There is a bit that comes down here and then it goes like that in between the nostrils. It's a darker area. As I'm going along, I'm picking more colours up and just mixing as I go. Just a bit of that blue. It's the next glaze. And then as we build up in glazes, it will make the eye shine a lot better. So I'm just double checking some of these markings because I was not happy that there was something a little bit out. I'm completely right. There is something that's a little bit out. I knew there was a bit here that didn't look right. I used the dividers and I used them to measure from the picture right across onto the artwork. And for some reason, we seem to have lost that square of his jaw there. That's why it's not actually working. So I'm just going to actually just draw that in. And I'll just wipe that area out and then we can see where we're going. Nothing as I was following it was actually working out at this point. So that is so important to keep checking your art, keep checking it back to your reference picture as well, if you are following one. I'm actually going to wipe that whole area because it is a bit pink, to be honest. Let's just get rid of it and start again in that area. It might not make sense to you, but it's making more sense to me from the picture. When I took this one, I was at the zoo with Rob, and you know, it was such a lovely day. It was his idea to go to the zoo for our wedding anniversary, and it was that horrible year when none of us were supposed to be doing lots of things, but you know, you could do this or you could do that. It was absolutely madness when we probably look back and reflect. But we had, and it was freezing. It was cold actually, it was October 10. It was cold. And at one point we thought we were going to have to go back for extra layers, but we didn't. We just carried on, and by the time you've walked for a while, you warm up, don't you? But South Lake Zoo was such a lovely place for being able to walk within some of the animals as well. Such a unique one, but certainly it's closed now. And even when it closed, it was like, oh my gosh, that's a family connection for the zoo, and it was like another part of him gone. You go through different areas of, you know, of doing things and that, and then if something, even like, you know, the new year, sorry I'm waffling now, you go into a new year and it's like another year with them not in it, and you know, when something closes, it's like, well, that's the end of that, and that's another thing that's ended that was part of them. And I think that's what I felt when the zoo did close. We actually went as a family before it closed, because even my grandson was like, but it can't close, it's like the family zoo. Let's just get that bottom lip a little bit bigger. Another little reflection on the giraffe and its height. It says it elevates perspective. When life feels overwhelming, the giraffe encourages us to lift our gaze and gain clarity and approach challenges with a broader perspective. And I suppose that's because the giraffe, doesn't it? You know, it's got such a high look over the world, and maybe that's what sometimes we have to do, isn't it? And go, well, let's look at it from further up and see what it looks like looking down onto a situation, and if we can work it out better from looking from further above. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me, working from a higher perspective. Right, so these eyebrows need a funny epic eyebrows, aren't they? I don't know what else to call them, so they're the eyebrows. But they kind of go round and shape. Oh, this one's white actually as well. That goes into there, and then that is part of the side of the head there. So along here, we have a row of markings. On this particular giraffe, I don't want them to be identical to George. I want to try and get his shaping back in under here. It was a very funny angle to actually take a picture, and it was just so lovely to have that experience. To try and just think that there's some of this is hair, so we need to start creating those little bits of hair as we go then. I don't want to be completely white, so I'm just doing it with a touch of another colour into it, just blending all the same colours all the time so they all blend nicely. So down this side is actually, you can just see its mane really. Have you ever been and fed animals at the zoo? What have you fed? We found that sometimes, rather than having presents with the children, with the grandchildren, we pay for experiences, because it's something that's lasting, isn't it? That experience, and something that you don't always get to do. So for a while, that's what we did. They've got to an age where now that experiences like that are kind of not what they want to do. It's not cool anymore, depending on which child it is. But yeah, they get to different ages, don't they? Teenagers. That's where they are now. Well, not quite all teenagers. 2 of them hit teenagers next year, which then makes them all teenagers. The joys. How funny. Teenagers are absolutely fine as far as I'm concerned. It's all down to how you talk to them. And so there's tufts up there, don't we? So I'm just trying a bit of lemon in it there. Maybe too much lemon. But not ochre. That's better. It really is experiment sometimes with your colours. Just try things out. If you're not happy, do it again. It's fine. I think adding the yellow in brightens it. You can just keep adding different shades in, but I think that's better than adding white in. If you go in sometimes, like I've now got a brush that I said was going to be too big, what it actually does is make you concentrate more on how you're using it and where it's going, rather than going into a smaller brush. I always think a bigger brush is easier in the long run. In between those lovely eyebrows, we have dark areas. Be careful there, because that's actually his eye. And that's where I thought I lost the shape of his nose before, wasn't it? So let's reshape that, which is great then. That's better. And then over this area here, we get those dark areas in there. quite a bit darker actually here, where the nose is shaping. Top of this one is quite a light bit on the top there. Quite like that as the yellow for the nose there, because that's always a funny one to find the right colour, but just by sheer accident of blending and shading, and that one actually is really nice. So let's see if we can get some of those markings back on. Let's see how that went. So this one just wants to come round. Just going to add some of the white areas. I've just cleaned my water as well, so I could just go and get some of that white to be completely white. So one of the things that comes up with a spiritual animal in the giraffe is vulnerability and courage. And they face things with a complete boldness, which, you know, they should rule the roost at their height, shouldn't they, really? But also, yeah, they are very vulnerable to other animals. But it's spiritually, it's teaching us that vulnerability isn't a weakness. It allows us to connect, grow, and be authentic. I'm actually going to put a little bit of a twist on this as well, only because I have seen it happen with my mother when she lost my father, that she actually ended up very vulnerable to someone who actually ripped her off. I think sometimes people think because you're suddenly widowed that you're actually easy prey, and unfortunately that happened. So there's two sides to vulnerability. It's that, you know, we can face things with boldness, but I think we also have to have a little bit of awareness as well to new people maybe, or people we don't know, maybe even for other people it'll be people they do know, but we have to be aware of what people and question some things that maybe we wouldn't normally. And I think that's where we become vulnerable, is that maybe with the weakness of being on our own, people think we're weak, but we're not always weak. We actually can be very powerful. So the giraffe is teaching us to approach things with boldness, and I think that's probably the way to do it. Or maybe I've done that a little bit too white, actually. I just stood up there, well, I didn't stand up, I just stood back. And I think sometimes that's when I'm painting, I forget to just come back a little bit, relook, and go back in. It's a tad too yellow now. Just mix a bit more of that ochre into it, and just, that's better. So it's still yellow, but it's not quite so harsh. I don't think it's lemon yellow. It's nice to get a blend of different colours in there though. Ooh, maybe that was a bit wild. It's quite spotty on his top lip, so some of it I don't want them to be dead spotty, but as it's a bit damp, it's nice to just give a little bit of indication where it's going to blend a little bit. It's more red than purple really, but we'll give it a go with that colour and then come back to more purpley colour. We still need to try and whiten out that blue, don't we? Just another coat of the completely of the white, I think, is the best and easiest way to do that. I think this colour down here actually is pretty good. That is the salmony colour, which is right. We just need to make it again, if I can remember how, and then make it darker, because I want some of it to be nice loose reflection of hairs. So right down the neck, there's almost a line that comes, that wasn't the colour for that area, but never mind, we'll just continue, that comes down here. And it's just the line of the throat, in a way, and because that actually comes forward. So we just need to have an idea of where that's going to be, because it makes a difference to the actual angles of where your fur is actually going. This brush is actually very split at the end, so now as I'm picking that up, it'll just create different bits of fur, different lengths, different textures. So from that throat line, I'm just curving that round now so that you get that impression of the neck having shape. When I did go back to painting, which I started with the animals, I didn't originally start with the animals actually. I always was arty. I was supposed to go to college to do art, but I didn't. I went into the clothing industry. But as I went back into it, and I originally was doing people, and then I decided to go into the animals more because I thought it was more lucrative if I ever wanted to make money out of it. And Rob was so supportive of me doing the art. And he used to chauffeur me around to go out on those days. Should we go and find some animals in the fields? Or should we go and find this? Or so yeah, when we went to the zoo, and I think we went to a wildlife park as well at one point. But he was really like, let's find this for you to draw, and let's find that for you to draw. And isn't it strange that, you know, I look back now and I think it was almost like I was being prepared for him not being here, because art would then help me get through a really, really tough time of my life. And it really has. Painting these animals, but I think the painting the animals is getting sold on paper, and I think that is the other side of it. It's not just like painting a landscape or painting something, it's the painting the soul on paper. What have you done with your partner, and now you're continuing to do because it feels right? Is there something that you've done the same? Let me know in the comments. It's nice to hear how other people got to where they are today and what's helped them. Was there something that helped them through the grief in the raw state, or are you still early days and you don't know? All these artworks I've made into affirmation cards now, so they are available. The first set to buy. The link will be in all the comments below. But this weekend I was out at a show, and there was a lady who'd suddenly lost her daughter. And she'd come over and she bought some gloves for me because I sell bits of gloves and all sorts. And she noticed the painting through grief bit and sort of queried it. Now, I knew that she'd lost her daughter, to be honest. Someone had told me. And I'd known her from, not very well, but from other shows. So I told her it was from, you know, me painting through from Rob. And she came and sat down with me and we had quite a chat. And she bought some of my cards because she thought they would help her and her grandson and her other daughter, which I thought was just lovely. But you know, she just got the reasoning for the whole concept of the cards and the words. And she might even get her grandson watching the videos as well, which will be lovely. I just hope it helps other people like it's helped me. So around here, we have to try and divide what's going on here. So the ear comes into there. The brush is not wet enough. So, and then that is part of the side of the face. And that bit there is the eye, isn't it? So that means underneath here there's markings. I should like something going on here. So many different angles on a giraffe's face. It's more detailed than you actually imagine, isn't it? just back and two with the layers. I do actually have as well, when I think about it, I have another giraffe that I painted, Grace, she is, and I have a full tutorial on that that's available on my website. I'll put the link to that as well. You might be interested in having a nosy at that one. She's a pretty little thing. Quite like this tag brush. You can get so many different angles with it. Don't think you've got to rush out and get one though. You know, just use whatever you have, whatever's available. Especially if you're just starting out, you don't want to be spending lots of money on different things or different brushes. You can do this so simply just with, you can even do it with crayons really. You don't have to even paint it. You can have a go. I'm not sure if I just missed videoing some of it, unless I actually go and have a look properly. For some reason my camera was turned off. There's just something that wasn't quite right with this bit. I need to put that back in up there, that's it. This bit needs to be really white, and it's just light to darks constantly. If you were wanting to have a reference picture of this, just message me and I'll send you this picture, because this one is mine, so I can actually share it with whoever I like. Sometimes you have to be careful using people's artwork, because unless you actually own it, you can't really share it without their permission, as it's copyright. So there's one colour you can't mix without doing brown and white, and it's not often I sort of advocate doing everything with white, which is great for shadows, but it really is whether you like it or not, it's white and the browns. Some colours go too flat if you just mix with just white. I just need to glaze over some of that because it's just too light. Sometimes it's quite nice just to rub it in with your finger. It's quite a neutral colour on this one, but we can just get in, and then we'll blend some actual white in with it as well there. It's just why it's a bit shadowy, a bit dark. I don't know what time it is, but my stomach says it's time to eat soon. So it must be later than I think. I know I started a little bit late. Again, not because I was poorly. Actually, I was chatting to the postman, if I'm honest. The nice guy. And he just delivered ink that I wasn't expecting until tomorrow, so that was handy. I've got a show this weekend, so I need to get some printing done. The dark bits need to be actually dark as well now, don't they? I was at a show this weekend, just gone, and I actually thought I was going on the Sunday, and last minute, I don't even know how I managed to find that, and it was just by sheer fluke. Somebody must have been looking after me that I saw the advert for the show, and I was actually going to be a day late if I'd not seen that advert, which was just completely madness. But that's how my week went last week. It was a bit of a not well, and everything seemed to pile on. My memory was just letting me down completely. I mean, sometimes you just have to laugh at these things, don't you, that not everything always goes our way, and something pulls you up and saves your bacon. It was a nice little show as well, so I would have hated to miss it. That's it. I was just checking it was the right colour. So I want that to be here. Just strengthen some of those markings now, because they do give the shape to this side of the face as well. It's and so these ones we can, if they're not exact, it doesn't matter, just make the markings because they're all individual anyway. So now we've got the darks in and the dull in, we need to get back to the lights again. And there's just a little bit here that I want to really emphasise that white. If I can just build that back up here. And I think actually I'm just missed, that should have been a little bit higher up there. That's it. And then those will come in down, that's it. And as usual, it's always that light, dark. And, you know, once you've got those dull bits in, it really does dull down a little bit. So we're just going to just highlight those areas that needed coming back out. And that was a quick highlights everywhere. I think once I'm at it, I'm just going to also just bring some of those. Actually, I might just swap my brush to the dagger brush because it'll be a little bit sharper on those wispy bits. This is a little bit, you know, if you add little extras, it's fine. It just adds to the character. It'll be the same when we go up with the hairs up here. They're really black, actually. I'm just going to put a few white ones in just to highlight it a little bit. I think that was just getting a little bit lost, but it's back again now. And there's just little bits of hair in his ear as well, so because it's probably going to take a couple of coats, we'll just get one coat going on there as well. I just did that one upside down, so I'm pulling away from the edge of the ear. So we'll come back in and do those again probably. Just going to just now take advantage of some of that lovely white and just get some light areas over it because that'll pop now. Sometimes before it's, you know, if it's too dark underneath, it's not going to do the popping. And I just want to make some of that nice giraffe colour layered bit of. Actually, I've got the pink now, so I'm hoping the pink just lifts it. Okay, so it says in the spiritual guides that giraffes have a gentle strength, which I think they do. They're quite gentle in their movement, aren't they? They're quite impressive animals, actually. I always think they're so tall and lanky, but amazing when they move. But it says spiritual meaning reflects balance and strength and gentleness. As we grow in strength, we should be gentle with ourselves. And I think that's really true because we are growing all the time, and I don't think we give ourselves credit for that. Is the fact that our strength does grow and we become stronger in ourselves, and sometimes we haven't even realised we're doing that. I just didn't want it pure white. Not there, I didn't want it pure white. I wanted a little bit of colour back in. I'm just going to add in a few light spots because I think we've just gone a little bit too solid. So again, I can lift that. So if you're enjoying my videos, please do like and subscribe because it does help me build the channel. Kind of doing a few different things, a few little shorts. If there's anything that you'd like to know about, any hints or tips, just please leave it in the comments. I'll always answer you. I'll always maybe incorporate it into my next videos to help you along the way as well. So when I was out in Australia and I was visiting my sister, we went to the zoo there and the two of us went and fed the giraffes, which wasn't a paid experience there. You could just go and do it. But we went up on a very tall scaffolding. So the giraffes didn't have to bend to us at all. But the guy said to us, we're giving them branches, almost of leaves. And he said, just be careful because when they grab, they wind their tongue around them and pull them off you. And they actually did. You know, you have to be really careful because otherwise they ripped your hand when they were pulling it. So such a different experience. But there were also a different breed of giraffe. I don't know what breed they are over there, but they are slightly different. One day I'd like to go and do a safari, and I will. It's on my bucket list. I'm just going kind of back and two, aren't I, with the highlights here. I'm going to actually just take out a little bit more of the eye there. I don't want that white in the end, but I want a bit more of a highlight. And we've lost the highlight area. Let's just get that yellowy colour, pale yellow, back into the top lip, because that one is the brighter of the two. It's quite soft looking. A little bit in the bottom, but maybe a little bit more pinky red. If I'm not careful, I'm going to go back in just as dark. So I just need to just be careful there, actually. There we go. That's better. A blue Vince. Actually, it's a blue glaze, really, isn't it? Not a Vince. What am I doing with that? There's something here that's just not quite... I've kind of got the edge of the horn here has blended into that bit. I might just make sure that we've got that there. Oh, a little bit clearer. And the same on this side. That's the horn, isn't it? I don't want to lose the white bit on the top. And the shape of this, the mouth here. It's just clarifying areas now. And then we'll just clarify that eye a little bit. So we need to get the spots on the nose as well. They're quite random, and I'm keeping it random. There's little lines around it as well, which just emphasise that curve in that enormous big lip. It's better, isn't it? Okay, so before I just go on to those eyes, I'm just actually thinking about it, just going to do a little bit of a glaze, just clarifying that look now together. Sometimes a glaze is nice just to bring some of those colours a little bit shinier. I think even down here we could put a little bit of glaze on those ones as well. It's really just getting that colour all over. Oh, that's a bit strong, isn't it? Spread it out a little bit. Let's just make it all into the Giraffe colour. I don't want to wash out all the white, but I just want to almost bring it together, because I just think sometimes you just lose a little bit and make it a bit patchy. Native America. As a totem, giraffes represent intuitive wisdom and moving through life with elegance. Giraffes capture our hearts because they embody qualities we aspire to: grace, vision, and resilience. That's quite pretty and nice, isn't it? I think we do aspire to that, to be honest. I think there's a beauty and a grace, and I think with a giraffe that we all do inspire to. It's got me thinking on the wording for this one. They have such lovely eyelashes. I think I'm going to come in with a pen for some of them because I want the fineness of a pen. Just wanted to glaze over those. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the pen. I think some of that isn't actually quite dry, so I'm not going to touch that bit to start with. If I highlight in between those ones though, that is great. Around the ears, there's just this little tiny bit of black. It's not, I don't want to go around with a solid line because it's not a solid line, but there's little hairs which, you know, is quite difficult with a fine brush. So I'm just going to just create that. So the words. The first set of words, because I'm giving it two because the first set it just has to have, and the first set of words is see from a higher view. Well, of course we have to have that for the giraffe, don't we? And sometimes it is, in a way, good for us to just sit back and, when things are getting the better of us, just almost look at it from a different angle, from a different perspective. It's easy to react too quickly, so if you just take 5 minutes to look almost from a higher view, from a different perspective, then you will see things more clearly. Doing the pen on canvas actually isn't always the easiest, but I just think on this occasion it gives it a lot more freedom. I'm over exaggerating the eyelashes, by the way, because actually I just think it gives it lots of character. You know, as I'm doing this, I've got a smile on my face because I'm just thinking this is really quite fun doing it. I'm bringing this little character alive here because it really does make it pop, doesn't it? And then it has quite a few little hairs coming out all over the place, to be honest. And I suppose it's like all animals, and they all do have whiskers and that, so that they can know where they're going if they've got their heads too low into something. I think some of that needs actually going back in with a bit of paint. Don't be too afraid to exaggerate on some places like this. So the second set of words, after see from a higher view, and then not all progress is loud. Sometimes we're just quietly getting on. And that is perfectly fine. We don't have to make a song and dance about it all. Sometimes we just want to, well, sometimes we want to curl up in the ball and actually hide away, don't we? Just emphasise those eyelashes a bit stronger. Okay, I'm thinking that the pen would be easy, but it wasn't thick enough. The white of the eyes needs to come back in. I've got very dirty water for doing this, but let's see if we can just do it. Those whites make such a difference. This one was supposed to be the blue highlight. There we go. I go dark light all the time up here, but I just think we just keep losing a little bit on me doing that. It's like most things, you can keep at it. Eventually you have to say, actually that's as much as it's getting, but I just felt as though it was just lacking. And just in those eyes as well, or the eyelids, aren't they? Let's just make that a little bit stronger. Little touches now. The mane, let's just add to that quickly too, because obviously that's important. That's good. And then I think we just need to try and get a little bit of the colour in towards the body. I really do not like this background, so I'm just going to very carefully just give a bit of an impression maybe of a cloudy background. So I'm trying something different, and it really is a bit of a, I'm trying this, but the blue that I've got is just not the right blue, so I'm just going in with the more turquoise blue and a bit of the white still, but then what I've actually done is just swirled it with my finger. It's now day 2 because I abandoned it last night to dry it. And just a little tip, when I dried it, the paper was still ruckled. You remember right at the beginning I had a problem with the paper being really ruckled. So I actually, overnight, I've sprayed the back of it with just some plain water and then put it under, I put it back in the pad and put it under some weight. And this morning it's flat and it's lovely. So that's great. And actually I'm really happy with the background. So now we're just going to go along, going to put the mane back in. We're going to put the eyelashes back in. I think it was well worth doing the background again because I actually prefer it. So let's get those eyelashes and the painting back in and get it finished. That's better, isn't it? Now the mane we need to get back in as well. I'm really happy with him now, actually. I'm so glad I did that to the background. I'm going to give his eye a little white spot as well, just because I can. My really good favourite pointy brush seems to have lost its point. And I think they do over time. I don't know whether they just wear out or just get squashed. I've no idea how it happens. But let's just give that white to his eye. Just a little tad in there as well. That wakens him up, doesn't it? So here we have it, George 2. And yeah, I did it again. I redid the sky. I need to hold it back so you can see it. I redid the sky after I'd finished the artwork. And it's a crazy thing to do, but sometimes it's so well worth it. And I'm so much happier with George 2. So the words for this one: see from a higher view. Wise words. And not all progress is loud. No, it's not. We just keep taking one step in front of another and moving forward at our own pace. That's the way we get through the grief. So lovely that you joined me again this week, and please do like and subscribe, and we'll build this channel together. See you next week.